night we pray, kneeling low, hear what we say. Freedom calls in every tone. Faith is built on hearts of stone. Vibes so raw, can't hide the truth. Words so sharp, they cut right through. Real talk for the soul's appeal. Prayers rise up, the wounds they heal. Lift our voices to the sky, a righteous perspective high. On this path we won't back down, for the Father wears the crown. Each step brings another fight. Breaking chains, we're seeking light. Voice of power won't be tamed. With His love, we're never shamed. Lift our voices to the sky, a righteous perspective high. On this path we won't back down, for the Father wears the crown. From the ashes we shall rise. Hope is found deep in our eyes. Every word a battle cry. With the Father none deny.
Oh, and I'm still muted. Goodness gracious. Okay, here we go. Good morning, everybody. Can you guys hear me okay? Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me okay. Got some technical difficulties going on. Good Lord. Goodness gracious. Happy Monday to you guys, man. First day of the week. Last couple of days in the month of April. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys had a great weekend, a blessed weekend, a restful weekend. Maybe, sprinkled a little fun in there. Hopefully that was the case as well. We got a good show today. We got a really good show today. Hope all is well with you guys. I want to show some love in the chat. Make sure y'all hit that like button. We got 127 people in the building early this morning. Shout out to you guys for pulling up early. Make sure you guys hit that like button for me if you haven't done so already. What's going on, Lori Otteson, first person in the chat this morning at 7:47 a.m. Shout out to you. Thank you very much. What's going on, Redefine Queen and Scott Jung and Kevin Caldwell? Appreciate you guys pulling up early this morning. What's up, Zephyr K9? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up as always. Larry Montgomery. What's up, Buddha? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. What's up, Marianne? How you doing this morning? We got Queen Chloe in the house with her bougie behind. I'm sure she got her Starbucks today. As you can see, I'm sipping on my my mushroom coffee. Got my mushroom coffee in this morning, getting the day started. What's up, Delinda? How you doing this morning? We got Shelby Dodd in the building. PK Krillin in the house. What's up with you? Donald Lovejoy. What up, Ed Marr? Mississippi in the building. Appreciate you pulling up. Hope you guys had a great weekend. What up, Quincy James? How you doing this morning, brother? Reza Mahmood. What's up, brother? How you doing this morning? Peace and blessings to you. What up, Casper 3R, a.k.a. Droid? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Thank you very much. What up, Joseph Orsini? Happy 49th birthday to him. One more till half a century. Praise the Lord. Hey, man, y'all make sure y'all show my guy Joseph Orsini some love in the chat. Today is his birthday. Y'all make sure y'all show him some love. The big 4'9". He's older than me, so Lord willing, I got a ways to go to get there. But it's such a blessing, man. Awesome. Hey, happy birthday to you, man. Happy birthday to you. Wow. What's up, Brian M? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Hope all is well. What's up, Marla? Donna Foster. Appreciate you pulling up. Y'all make sure y'all show my guy Joseph some love in the chat, man. What up, William Walker Grimsworth? Appreciate you pulling up. Toy Mafia. Marta Magdalena. Appreciate you pulling up. What up, Mark? How you doing this morning? Nashville in the building. Shout out to you. Appreciate you pulling up. What up, Dr. Mama? Jane Fecto. Appreciate you pulling up. Vegas in the house. What's up, Caldwell Chiefs 3? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Iris Vera, appreciate you pulling up this morning. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Shirley Cummings, appreciate you pulling up this morning. Thank you very much. What up, RJ Hudson? I'm a hunter. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. What's going on, Christy? Chi-Town in the building. Appreciate you pulling up. What's up, Billy W? How you doing this morning? Hope all is well. Hope all is well. Hope you guys had a great weekend. We got Ruben Gonzalez, Guadaramama. Hopefully I pronounced that properly. We got Puerto Rico in the house. Shout out to you, man. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. What's up, Tina Hall? How you doing this morning? Tina said, hello, LFR family. Oh, she thinks she's over at Vans, over on Vans, man. You in the ARP neighborhood today. But appreciate you pulling up. What up, Kenny Cooper? How you doing this morning? Listening in Chi-Town. Appreciate you pulling up, man, and be safe out there on the road, brother. What up, Baby Lungs? How you doing this morning? Burnsville, Minnesota in the building. Shout out to you. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. What up, Steve? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. Buffalo in the house. Appreciate you pulling up. All right. Yeah, I'm slow getting here. Everybody was like, yo, you're on mute. No sound, no sound. Yeah. Thank you, guys. All right. You guys can all hear me now. So that's awesome. Yeah, you know how it goes, man. Mondays, man. You ever watch the movie Office Space and the dude and the lady is like, sounds like he has a case of the Mondays. What's up, Quincy? He says day 99 wise. Absolutely. That it is. What's up, Rachel Dawn? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. Thank you. We got Una. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Big Job Ford. John Beasley in the building. Linda Valentine in the building. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Make sure I didn't miss anybody. Karina Parker, appreciate you pulling up this morning. Christy said, oh, yeah, she got her Starbucks. What's up, Dr. Silla? How you doing this morning? David Hawkins, how you doing this morning? K-Row 3, appreciate you pulling up this morning. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button for me, man. Y'all follow William Walker Grimsworth. Follow his instructions, man, and make sure y'all hit that like button for me. What's up, Mark Skibby? Hopefully I pronounced that properly. What up, Randy Dale? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. What's up, Tina Hall? How you doing this morning? Mr. Largy, Allen, appreciate you pulling up this morning. Oh, yeah, we got the birthday love in the building today, man. Y'all make sure y'all show Joseph Orsini, man. Joseph, man, let us know what you're doing today. What you got going on. Let us know what you plan on doing for the birthday today. I like to be low-key, to be honest with you. My birthday is in November. But more times than not, man, it's low-key. Last year, we were out of the country. We went on vacation, and it just so happened to be on vacation during my birthday. But we had a good time. But even then, it was still low-key. What's up, Paula Walburn? How you doing this morning? She said it's her first day. Is this your first day joining the live? If so, y'all please make sure y'all show Paula Walburn some love in the chat. Joining one of the best chat, one of the nicest chats, one of the most blessed chats in all of YouTube. Appreciate you guys, keeping things peaceful in the chat. Every now and again, we get a few, you know, every now and again, we get a few. We got Randy Dale Franklin says he's new here. Love your content out of Fort Smith, Arkansas. Appreciate you, brother, man. Y'all make sure y'all show Randy Dale some love. Make sure y'all show some love to Randy Dale in the chat as well. Appreciate you pulling up this morning, man. Thank you very much. Appreciate you supporting the channel as well. Thank you very much. All right, Iris. She said I got it right. Outstanding. Thank you. Thank you very much. What's up, Mark? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. Francis Fernity, appreciate you pulling up. What up, Eric? How you doing this morning? Hope all is well down there in DC. Outstanding. What's up, Rachel Dawn? Says favorite new channel. Awesome intro song. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, Paula said first day with me or first day with you. But thank you very much. Y'all make sure y'all show Paula some love in the chat. What up, Fremonds? How you doing this morning? John Sherling, how's it going this morning? Outstanding. What up, Dion? How you doing this morning, sister? Hope all is well with you out there in Missouri. We got Anika in the house. What's going on? Suburbs of Chi-Town. All right. What's up, Tootie Bug? How you doing this morning? Got Hairball Warren. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Got Natalie Dawson. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Candace Hall out of Sacktown. All right. What up, Coaster? How you doing this morning, brother? EDH in the building. Shout out to you. Hope all is well this morning. We got Maria out of Ruby Red, Florida. Shout out to you. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. What's up, Marie News? How you doing? Or Nuts this morning? How you doing this morning? And we got a lot of you guys. What's up, B? How you doing this morning, sister? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. All right, man. We're going to get the show started. We're 12 minutes in, man. I don't want to go too long with the shout outs, but I just want to make sure I always want to show love to you guys, in the chat. Want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Yeah, we got a few new faces in the chat, so y'all please make sure y'all show them some love as well. If this is your first time joining the live stream, please let us know, in the chat so we can make sure that we welcome you properly. Make sure we welcome you properly. Thank you very much. What's up, Salina? Is that hopefully I'm pronouncing that properly. Salina, appreciate you pulling up. LA in here. Voices for the Voiceless. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Thank you very much. What up, Ralph Martinez? How you doing this morning? Be safe out there on the road, man. Be safe out there. Says you driving, but pulled off at a rest area. Outstanding. All right, well, be safe out there. All right, so let's get the show started, man. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button for me, man. We have 205 people in here. We're going to get things kicked off. I got a couple guests that's going to join the show a little later today. We got my guy Jason from Dear World Christian. We got my guy Minister Denzel Monk. He'll be joining, and I want to make sure that you guys get access to his Substack. I'm going to add that to the description box, man. He's doing a great job over there, keeping us addressed there via Substack. I want to make sure that we do that. What's up, Betty Marquez? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. I want to add that so everybody can be abreast, man. He's doing some great work over there on Substack. And if you could, make sure you guys hit that like button for me. Shout out to I'm a Hunter with the $20 super chat to kick things off this morning. Says quick news updates for those. Quick news update for those who haven't heard yet. Senator John Ossoff of Georgia has declared that President Trump should be impeached, and he plans to start some paperwork to send to Congress this week on it. They have hit rock bottom. Yeah. Oh my gosh, man, that's ridiculous. That I guess that's something that we're gonna have to talk about later today. I'll probably do a shorter video on it. Shout out to MH Caffey, gifting 5 ARP family memberships, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate you supporting the channel. God bless you, man. Thank you very much. Shout out to Kelly, listening in Seattle, first time live listener. Shout out to you, Kelly. Y'all make sure y'all show Kelly some love in the chat. Now, Kelly could go either way. I see the Semper Fi, emblem. Kelly could be man or woman. I'm not 100% sure, but I do appreciate you pulling up this morning. Thank you very much. If you could clarify that for me in the chat, that'd be great. But thank you very much. And y'all make sure y'all show them some love in the chat. My new folks up in here, man, I appreciate you guys pulling up this morning. Definitely do that. As always, like I say, hit that like button, man. That is the only cost of admission of the live stream is to hit that like button. If you could, share the stream and share the content with those that need to hear this type of information, man. That would be great as well. Super chats will stop the show. They will be read. Super thanks will stop the show and be acknowledged. Anybody that joins the ARP family or anybody that gives an ARP family membership, that will stop the show and that will be acknowledged as well. Appreciate the support, the love. I hope you guys had a great weekend. We got a good amount to talk about today. And let's get into it, man. Let's get things kicked off, man. If you haven't done so already, please make sure y'all hit that like button for me. What up, Ace Brigade? How you doing this morning, brother? Appreciate you pulling up. Cincinnati's finest in the building. Shout out to you, man. Thank you very much. Let's get it going.
Finds that Trump's overall approval rating is now underwater. 44%. That's right. Only 44% approve the job he's doing, while 55% disapprove. The president is also underwater on the issues of immigration, foreign policy, the economy, tariffs, and inflation. Trump receives his best marks on border security. He has 55% approve. Based on Trump's first 100 days, voters are now also less optimistic about the future. 38% say they feel encouraged about the next 4 years, while 51% are discouraged. Those numbers were at 45% and 84%, respectively, at the 100-day mark of Trump's first term back in 2017.
So a separate Reuters Ipsos poll found President Trump's overall approval rating at 42%. Just 37% approve of his handling of the economy. Trump's worst ever rating on that question. Meanwhile, 45% approve of his handling on immigration. Meanwhile, a new Pew Research Center survey finds Trump's approval rating at 40%, with 59% disapproving. That's Trump's lowest rating on that question since 2019 and down 14 points from November. He is also underwater on tariffs at 39%, DOGE cuts at 44%, and the economy at 45%. These numbers, you would think in the White House they're taking a look today.
Yeah, I would think so. And he's at a remarkably low number here for so early in his.
All righty. So I wanted to share that with you guys, because just so you all can see what's being spewed out there on the other side of things. And we know a lot of times, man, you know, they can skew these polls, to really say anything. We know this, but I keep seeing the same tired headlines over and over again. You know, tariffs are wrecking the economy. Wall Street is in a panic, or they're in panic mode, and the dollar is set to collapse. But I mean, let's cut through the noise and set the record straight step by step, because I keep hearing people conflate, tariffs and taxes, and they're not really the same. They're similar, but not necessarily the same. And I hear people, continuing to conflate the two, but they're fundamentally different. When you start talking about the taxes are permanent revenue grabs: sales tax, income tax, payroll tax, property tax. They stick around. They're year after year after year. Tariffs, on the other hand, they are a temporary tool in the negotiator's toolbox. Think of them like a chess gambit, something along those lines. You throw them out there, you deploy them with hopes that you can gain some leverage, to bring some stubborn trade partners back to the table. And once you agree on terms, you dial them back. And that's how they've worked for centuries. Week after week, man, prime ministers, presidents, trade ministers, from European Union to the UK, Canada, Japan, India, they're all lining up in the Roosevelt Room. And why? Well, I want to take a listen before we get all the way into it. I want to take a listen to what White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt has to say about this. I want to get into it, and then we're going to get a little deeper in, to China and some of the other actors out there.
The president decided on the scale and scope of these tariffs?
Well, I think, first of all, unfortunately, these countries have been ripping off our country for far too long. And they've made, I think, their disdain for the American worker quite clear. If you look at the unfair trade practices that we have, 50% from the European Union on American dairy, You have a 700% tariff from Japan on American rice. You have a 100% tariff from India on American agricultural products. You have nearly a 300% tariff from Canada on American butter and American cheese. This makes it virtually impossible for American products to be imported into these markets, and it has put a lot of Americans out of business and out of work over the past several decades. So it's time for reciprocity, and it's time for a president to take historic change to do what's right for the American people, and that's going to take place on Wednesday.
And what about the scope of them? He said yesterday he would be more generous. What does that mean?
I will let the president make the announcement on Wednesday, but it's certainly going to ensure that there's reciprocity and the American people are treated fairly.
So again, you got the left and their side of things. I mean, we know what time it is with them. They are pro-censorship. They're obviously pro-China. They're pro-Canada. They're pro-European Union. They're anti-America, anti-American workers. They're okay with us continuing to get a raw deal. They're okay with it. I got to ask, why is this being considered a tariff war? I got to ask that question. Why is this considered or continuing to be considered a tariff war? And they know that the old business, that old business model, business as usual, they know that it's over. We can't continue to operate the way that we've been operating. We just can't. Now, we know that legacy media's job is to sway the people to believe that everything that this current administration is doing is meant to destroy the country. And what we found out over the previous 4 years is that their job is to not actually report on the things that the Biden-Harris administration did that actually was destroying the country. And that's why you can't really listen to them. And that's why I wanted to show you that clip, just so you know, we're in a position today where you really just can't afford to listen to CNNs and MSDNC, or what I called them last week, DN, CNN. You just can't continue to listen to these people because they have an agenda. They have an agenda. But a lot of these countries now, man, they want to make a deal. They want to make a deal. And after 9 weeks, now in the chat, I want to hear from you guys. President Trump, we're going up on 100 days. Does it feel like he has been in office for 100 days to you? If it feels like it's been longer than 100 days that President Trump has been in office to you, put a 1 in the chat for me. If it feels like he has been in office longer than 100 days to you, put a 1 in the chat. I want to hear from you guys, because to me, it feels like he's been in there a lot longer than the 99 days, 100 days that he's been in office. It really does. I mean, when you think about how much he has actually accomplished, I mean, there's so much more that needs to be accomplished. But when you think about how much has been accomplished, it seems like he has been in office way longer than 3 months. It really does, man. It really does. It feels like he's been in there a long time. Quincy said it feels shorter. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, man. But, after 9 weeks, though, 9 weeks in office, to an extent, we're still in somewhat, no man's land. There's still a whole lot of work that needs to be done. You got rumors, swirling that the president has failed at 60 different negotiations. I don't know how true that is. You know what I'm saying? But again, if it's legacy media reporting to us, you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. You have to take it with a grain of salt. The reality is this, man. All he needs is one good deal. One template agreement with, say, the EU or India, that paves the way for the others. You bury the headlines, with a breaking news, US EU trade pact sign, and suddenly every other country is dialing the White House, not calling for TV appearances. And at the same time, China has already started exempting some goods from US tariffs. That's already happening, which is a good sign. It's a really good sign. Add this up in here real quick. There we go. And according to this article right here, and for any of the articles that I shared today, if you want the actual article so you can go read it yourself, shoot me an email, admin_wise@proton.me. Shoot me an email. I'd be more than happy to email it over to you or forward the link to you as well for you guys to read. But according to this particular article here, via Reuters, China has exempted some, U.S. imports from its 125% tariffs and is asking firms to identify critical goods they need levy-free. And sure, the last guy lost the White House for his party because people were fed up with the economy. People were fed up with the economy. And I understand that people are still somewhat fed up with the economy because the economy hasn't gotten that much better. But what do you expect for President Trump to do, or what did you expect President Trump to do in 3 months? When it comes to the economy, it wasn't a 3-month sabotage. It was a 4-year sabotage. How you expect somebody to fix 4 years of sabotage in 3 months? So a lot of people are fed up with the economy. That's not a new thing. But what Trump is doing is asking Americans to hold on for a bit while he rewires how we think about our economy and global trade. Let's just keep it real. President Trump came into a disaster. He inherited a disaster. And it's not going to be fixed in a day. It's not going to be fixed in 100 days. It's just not. It didn't take us 100 days to get here. We literally had an administration in office for 4 years sabotaging the country. Sabotaging the country. It's not a quick fix, man. It's not. And anybody that thought that it is or thought that it would be, I mean, come on, man. Seriously. And the reality is, in reference to President Trump, he's not for election. He's not up for election right now. Republicans in Congress, they have their own job to do, which is make those tax cuts permanent, turn some of his executive orders, on, energy into law and keep the ball rolling. That's their job. That's their responsibility. There's a ton of work left to do. Tons of it. But the White House is betting that once it's all in place and given time to take effect, that things will start looking up for Americans. And the numbers will reflect that. I don't see any panic, at the White House. I don't see it. They're confident that this plan will deliver for the American people. They're confident. The one thing that I would say, and what I would like to see President Trump do, I know there's been, he's had surrogates, come out and say it, but I would like for him to come out and address and say, hey, man, this is what we're doing. Not necessarily give the plan, but tell the people. I know the surrogates have come out, people like myself, and there's been, surrogates that are a part of the administration that have come out and said, hey, just hold off for a second. Just hold off for a second. We're going to have to tighten the belt loops a little bit. You've already been doing it because our economy has been in a toilet for the past 4 years. I mean, you guys got to understand, we've been in a recession since 2021, essentially. When you think about it. I mean, we had not 2, but we had 3 quarters of negative GDP growth, which would technically mean a recession. But because legacy media lies, legacy media doesn't report and don't tell the truth, they decided that that's not information that needs to be shared with the American people via their platform. So as you can see here in this this tweet here, as you can see here, in this tweet here that, there's not a lot of people that are confident in the plan. There's not a lot of people confident in the plan. And honestly, I don't know which way it'll go either. I'm not an economist. But the propaganda machine, Wall Street, the liberal media, and Democrats, man, they're all teaming up to prop up, China and sabotage Trump's trade war here. Now, I like the idea, of, getting rid of taxes for people that make under $200,000 a year. I love that idea. I think that's a great idea. I mean, you start talking about you would remove federal taxes for, probably 95% of the nation. Anybody that makes less than $200,000 and replace those, with tariffs of people that want to do business in our nation. You put more money back into the American people's pockets. Give them the ability to make a choice on, what they want to purchase, what they want to buy. That would boost the economy because more people have more spending power at that point. I wouldn't have a problem at all, saying, hey, no taxes on those that make under $200,000, and we're going to replace those with these tariffs. I wouldn't have a problem with it at all. I'm sure many of you guys as well. When you start talking about, what are we talking about? Maybe 95% of the nation not paying income tax, federal income tax. The crazy thing about that is that they'll do that, and then whatever state you live in, they'll raise your state income tax because they know you got more money. It's so ridiculous, especially if you live in a blue state. But when you look at what Jeffrey Sachs had to say, about this whole situation. I want you guys to see that, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk. But I think the fear mongering is something that it really needs to stop. It really does. I think the fear mongering needs to stop. There's a lot of people that are frustrated, and a lot of it is just due to the fact that they know that there's a lot of people that don't really understand what's happening right now. They don't understand tariffs. They don't really understand negotiating. They don't understand that, and it's unfortunate.
You take your credit card and you run up a large credit card debt, you're running a trade deficit with all those shops. Now, it would be pretty strange if you then blamed all the shop owners for having sold you all those things. You're ripping me off, you're ripping me off, you're ripping me off, I'm running a trade deficit. That is the level of understanding of the President of the United States. The trade deficit does not represent at all trade policies. It represents spending relative to production or earnings. We call that an identity. I teach it in the second day of my course in international monetary economics. Trump never made it to the second day. So he says, you're running a trade deficit. Look, they're all cheating me. But all that's happening is the United States is outspending its national income.
We're going to talk about that here in a second. Shout out to I'm a Hunter. It says, it's like Vinny from PBD said, our country has become a drug addict and Trump is detoxing us from the Dems. It will hurt. It will take time. But the end result is for greater than now. Yeah. And I like Vinny over there. I like PBD, PBD. There is one character I don't necessarily care for, but we're not going to talk about him today. But Vinny, I like Vinny a lot over there. But at the end of the day, man, it's too bad because, I'm not sure if Jeffrey Sachs doesn't understand what Trump is doing or if he is on purpose saying this to sabotage. I'm not really sure. Don't put it past him, though. And he isn't blaming, all these shops, for the deficit. He says, hey, shops, since we are buying so much, we want a discount. That's what, and that's what anybody would say if you own a company. If you're doing business with someone and you're selling retail and you're selling a lot of it, you should be able to buy certain product, from the wholesaler or whoever, at a steeper discount if you're spending a whole heck of a lot more. Shout out to Jeanette with the $1.99 super chat. She says, trust the man with the plan. I would agree. And let's just sit back. Let's just sit back and wait a little bit and let this thing play out. But I mean, you got to think about it this way, man. If a Walmart was to open up in a small town, they sell everything from, clothes to foods to auto parts for 40% cheaper. Your small shop can't compete and is forced to close. And it's the same with other small businesses in your town. Now you're shopping at Walmart, running up a credit card debt because you lost your business. The Walmart executive says, hey, it's not our fault. You chose to shop with us. And that's basically what it all boils down to. They're only giving you half the story, and it's deliberate because they're taking advantage, or they're preying on the ignorance of the average American out there when it comes to this particular topic. These people want Trump to cave to China because they're obsessed with keeping business as usual. They don't want to go away. They don't want to move away from the cheap slave labor that is in China. Those people that make 60, 70 cents an hour. They don't want to move away from that. Shout out to the pseudo master chef with the $5 super chat. He says, how else are we supposed to compete with slave driver commies that produce cheap goods using child labor? Exactly. That's what I was just saying. Exactly. How are we supposed to compete with these people? You're absolutely right there. And when you look at the people on Wall Street, you look at the Sachs, you look at a lot of these Democrats out here, man, they don't have any actual loyalty to the nation. There's no sense of national pride. I mean, these people are really just chasing profits. That was the whole NAFTA deal. Sell out Americans so they can increase their profits. Yeah, we're going to make more money. So what? We're going to destroy cities, or we're going to destroy towns in this country. So what? In the name of making a dollar, in the name of, increasing shareholder profits, we're going to destroy entire towns because we're going to send the factories, the warehouse the packaging plants, all these. We're going to send it to Mexico. We're going to send them to China. We're going to send it to Vietnam. We're going to send it to these places, and we're going to destroy our own people. I don't know about you, man, but I wouldn't necessarily have a problem paying a little more for a product that's made here in America, supporting Americans. I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with it. My uncle worked at a factory, a warehouse for, 20 years, only for his company to shut down and move to Mexico. And they tried to get certain people, he was one of those folks, to go down to Mexico to train the people that was going to be doing the job at a fraction of the cost. He chose not to do it. But it happened. But I'd be okay with paying a little more. I know some people don't feel like that. There's a lot of people that don't care. They're like, hey, man, we want our cheap stuff, man. We want to be able to buy the Toyotas out there because they're quote unquote better cars. We don't care about the American people because we'd rather save a couple dollars than support our fellow Americans, which I find ridiculous. That's just me, though. I find it ridiculous that people are willing to save a couple dollars and destroy full-fledged towns and communities. They're willing to do it just to chase these daggone, quick profits, man. And the reality of it is the tariffs, man, it threatens their bottom line. And they can't stand it. And that's why you see what you see up there, in Wall Street. And that's why you hear what you hear from those over at legacy media. They don't care about the long game. They don't care about, ensuring that we produce critical goods right here at home so we're not at the mercy of China or any other nation out there. I mean, the reality of it is, if we actually got into a conflict with China, we'd be in trouble right now. It's a national security situation. Imagine if China decided to cut us off during a conflict. No medicine, no tech, nothing. We'd be in trouble. I mean, you got to think about this, man. You have people out there that are willing to risk national security than support a strategy that protects America's future. And again, those of us that are in our 40s, some of us do have younger kids. A lot of us have kids that are already grown, but we expect that our children will have children. This isn't about us for real. It is, but it's really about what kind of nation are we leading or leaving for our grandchildren, for our children, for our grandchildren, for our great-grandchildren. What kind of nation are we planning to leave for them? Seriously. You got a lot of people out there that they think that what he's doing is right, but they can't bring themselves to tell you that because they despise Trump. They despise the MAGA movement. They despise, anything that is not liberal. And that's why you're seeing this flood of propaganda camp, this flood of propaganda, claiming that, Trump is losing the daggone trade war, that China's got the upper hand, that, the markets is on the verge of or on the brink of collapse. Wall Street's playing games. They're maybe even working with China to mess with the 10-year yield to make it look like the dollar is about to tank. But let's look at the facts. The dollar was way weaker in the first half of Biden's term, and you didn't hear the media say anything about it. You didn't hear the media say anything about it. There was no screaming from the media that we're about to collapse. We had not just 2, but 3 quarters of negative GDP growth. And they actually rewrote the definition of what a recession is. You didn't hear him say anything about it. 29% inflation rate because the Biden-Harris administration was printing trillions of dollars, which is a far bigger threat to the dollar's reserve status than the tariffs. Historically, the dollar's been stronger under President Trump than under Biden, Obama, or the Clinton years. Check the dollar index. You can go look it up for yourself. But when Democrats are in power, all this dollar collapse fear, it just magically disappears, man. They don't care. Because the reality of it is, I am convinced, just based off of what I got a chance to see over these previous 4 years, I am convinced that they were sabotaging the nation on purpose with hopes of selling us out for this Agenda 2030 movement. I just find it funny, man. I find it funny that people have been mass layoffs dating back to 2021. Mass layoffs. Millions of people have lost their jobs. Crickets from legacy media. Crickets. And we're not talking about low-paying positions. We're talking about high-paying positions, people losing their jobs. Some of those folks are still unemployed to this day. Crickets from legacy media. But yet they're pushing this narrative that, the tariffs are only hurting the United States. But the reality is that China's quietly dropping tariffs on certain U.S. goods, like semiconductors and aviation products, because they're feeling the heat as well. Now, if you get online and you see their people, what little bit they will allow to get out, you can see them, they're removing the scales. They're letting people know, like, hey, your favorite bag that you spent $1,000 for, oh, it's made here. We can't keep this going the way it is. We can't keep doing this. The little bit of information that is allowed to escape, from China, because, communist country, they limit what can get out. But it's a clear sign that they're starting to buckle, even if they won't admit it publicly. what you guys got to understand about China, China don't have a free press like we have here. And the people really aren't allowed to get out there and talk bad about Xi Jinping, talk bad about the CCP, talk bad about any economic decision that's being made. They're not allowed to do that. It's not like here in America. Now, Democrats would love for America to operate very similar to the way China does. That's why you get all those politicians out there telling you, hey, we need to censor people. Shout out to True Texan with the $2 super chat. I agree it was on purpose. They suck, traitors. Thank you very much. But these people, man, they won't admit it. But I want you guys to hear what Scott Jennings had to say about this. You know, he's my favorite over there on CNN. You know, but Scott Jennings, he called it out the other day on CNN. I want you guys to see it. We got a couple guys. We're gonna bring my guy Jason in here in a second. We're gonna get Minister Denzel in here in a second as well. But I want you guys to see this from Scott Jennings.
Let me ask you a question. You've been around a long time.
Yeah.
Would you judge a presidency based on 1 day or 6 weeks?
6 weeks.
You would judge a whole presidency.
Choice. You gave me a choice.
I'm asking. Would you judge a presidency on 1 day in the markets or a 6-week period after having just taken over?
I wouldn't. But if he's someone who said, as soon as I take office, what you're going to see is prices lower and growth, and the economy is going to be great, then you can hold them to the 6 weeks and say, no. That's what's happened is the opposite of what you promised when you're on the campaign trail.
So in 6 months from today, if it looks like we do have an upswing in manufacturing and it looks like the structural changes are benefiting people, will you come back and say, Lord have mercy, it looks like he was right?
I will.
We'll invite both of you for that exact conversation.
So Scott's right, man. Let him cook. I've said this on the channel too. Let him cook. Seriously. Hey, he's got an idea. He's running with the idea. Now, mind you, this isn't just an idea that just came up overnight. President Trump was talking about these tariffs and the he was talking about the tariffs, you know, and how unfair it has been dating back to the late 80s, early 90s. He's been talking about this. So this isn't a new phenomenon. This isn't some new idea that he just, you know, pulled out of thin air. He's been talking about this for a while. So I say, let him cook. If he doesn't deliver in a couple of months, you know, in a year, we can start asking some questions. But it's been, you know, a little over 3 months, going on 4 months. I mean, come on, man. When you start talking about, you know, this guy Gordon Chang here, you know, author of A Plan Red, China's Project to Destroy America, and what he had to say about it, you know, he's been watching this unfold, and with the markets ending the week, you know, in green, it all indicates that it's something's actually going right. All indices were up. And he's got some thoughts, you know, on China's moves. He's got a few thoughts on it. I want you guys to hear it, but we're going to, some things going. Give me 1 second here. I want to share this with you guys, but I want you guys to see this.
They have to have the U.S. market. You've got over 80 countries now, and China being one of them, that are in talks, that are ready to make a deal.
We need to call their hand and slap them to Pluto until they start abiding by fair trading rules. China will ultimately have no choice.
China has been waging a trade war against the United States for decades. Donald Trump is simply trying to fight back on behalf of Americans.
The views from several Republican senators there. New signs that China might be caving in to President Trump's trade war. Beijing is now pulling back its 125% tariffs on some U.S. goods. This as President Trump claims he's spoken with Chinese President Xi many times. China denies it has had any talks with the White House. Let's bring in Gordon Chang. He is a senior fellow at the Gatestone Institute, author of Plan Red, China's Project to Destroy America. Gordon, first of all, why would China say that they haven't had any talks with the United States if, in fact, President Trump is telling the truth?
I think it's because Xi Jinping has staked his legitimacy on having surpassed the U.S. And so it's very difficult for him to then say, oh, we're bowing to pressure from President Trump and we're going to talk about tariffs and other things. So I think he's boxed himself in. But in general, since he's become China's ruler in late 2012, he has made the political system hostile, where only the most belligerent answers are considered to be acceptable. So he's a very, very thin line which he can walk right now.
Well, President Trump may or may not have to answer the voters in 4 years. I mean, he's thrown out this balloon about running again, but most people, I think, believe he's already a lame duck president. He has to, though, keep members of Congress happy, at the very least. Xi doesn't have to do that, does he? I mean, he is an iron-fisted leader in China. So doesn't he have the ability to be, I don't know, more aggressive than President Trump?
I think that he once did when he was accumulating power from everybody else. But right now, he has near total accountability for what's gone wrong in China. And also, there is a lot of infighting at the top of the Communist Party, especially in the Chinese military, where it seems that his adversaries have now got the upper hand. But also, there's civilian infighting as well. And, yes, Donald Trump has all sorts of election deadlines, like 2 years from now in the midterms. But Xi Jinping has an election every day. And because there are no rules in that system, he can lose power at any day. So I suspect that every morning that he wakes up and he feels his fingers and his toes, I think he's pretty happy.
So China is making allowances for some U.S. products to be imported without tariffs, right? Does that suggest that they are finding that it's not so easy to block U.S. products?
Oh, absolutely. And, it's not just that they're reducing tariffs. For instance, President Trump reduced tariffs on electronic goods coming in from China. What China has done, which we learned from both the Reuters and the Financial Times reporting yesterday, is that there are no tariffs on certain categories of U.S. goods. So, for instance, aviation parts, semiconductors, medical devices, medicines, industrial chemicals, things that China can't get elsewhere. And they're just coming into China tariff-free.
But the Chinese officials...
Yeah, so what Chang is basically saying here is that China's in a quiet panic. And like I said earlier, I've had a chance to see there's a few videos out there. Again, there's limited information that they're going to allow out, right? But there are people, the actual citizens, the civilians, they're not real happy with what's going on right now. They're not. And they are in a panic. The thing is that they're not even allowed. I think they would like to, but they're not allowed to tell all their business like we are here in America. They're just not allowed to do it. And you wouldn't dare get online and say anything crazy, about Xi Jinping. Not if you love your life. Not if you love your life. You're not allowed to do that out there. So yeah, they're in a quiet panic over there right now. And they're not slapping tariffs, on certain American products that they desperately need, such as semiconductors and industrial chemicals and jet engines and so forth and so on. But they're keeping it on the low. And that in itself is a telltale sign that they're folding, because they can't get the goods anywhere else. And they're realizing that they need to cool things down. Now, publicly, I think Xi Jinping, he wants to hold himself or show himself as strong to his people and maybe to the world, that, hey, we're not going to talk to the U.S. We're not going to bend the knee. We're not going to do anything. But I don't know how long he's going to be able to hold off, though. We talk to China, about everything all the time. If you really think that the tariffs hadn't come up, man, I mean, come on, man. Reuter talks about it. They back it up. China's dialed back 125%, retaliatory tariffs on certain microchips and other things of that nature. I think there's a list of about 130 categories of U.S. products, that are, up for exemption, for things like vaccines and chemicals and jet engines and things of that nature, but they are backing down. But they're backing down in a way where Xi can save face because he's painted himself into a corner. But at the same time, they don't have elections. They don't have these things. When there is a change in power over there, people tend to die when there's a change in power in countries like that. And this guy, he spent years telling the Chinese people that they've surpassed the United States. So he can't admit that they're negotiating under pressure. He can't afford to do it. It would completely tank his credibility at home. Now, we'll say pride comes before the fall. Sometimes, in order to save your head, you might need to just say, hey, man, it's not 100% how we thought it was. There's a way that he could go about this and save face and still save his nation. But the moves are clear, man. They're trying to de-escalate. And that's the whole point of these tariffs, to force them to the table. Meanwhile, outlets like MSDNC, and DNCNN, are screaming that, this is a disaster for Trump, that the world's losing confidence in America, as a safe place to invest. It's like they'd rather see the economy crash than let Trump succeed. And that's how deep their bias runs. And that is a problem because it's anti-American. It's anti-American. Shout out to Doc Holliday with the $2 super chat. He says, yes, hit that like and build this channel. Thank you very much. I appreciate the support and love, man. I want to get my guys in here. It's pretty much all I have to say on that, man. Yes, these tariffs, these 145%, tariffs from Trump, over there. Yeah. They got to negotiate. And they know they got to negotiate. And I would assume that they're behind closed doors and on the low, they're actively working towards a fair deal. Now, of course, China, they're going to push back and say it's not happening. But, at the end of the day, y'all know what time it is. And the New York Times, they put a report up that, Trump officials privately admit that, they may have misjudged China's reaction. They put up a report that said that, but, this is the New York Times we're talking about, right? But y'all make sure y'all hit that like button for me, man. We're going to move on to the next topic. I want to bring my guy, Jason. I'm waiting on Minister Denzel to pull up. I thought I seen Minister Denzel pull up for a second. But I want to pull him up.
Hey, man, how are you?
Today, brother. I'm doing well, man.
Happy Monday to you, friend.
Well, yes, sir.
I love it, man.
Yes,
Thanks so much for having me on again. Appreciate you, man. Great conversation so far.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. And thank you for pulling up this morning. We're waiting on my guy, Minister Denzel. I thought I seen him pull up in the chat. I know he was in the chat, but I thought I seen him pull up earlier. We might have pulled up and jumped back off for a second. But yeah, man. But what are your thoughts, on, China, making this move, negotiate?
I think as most people, sometimes it's this global economy discussion kind of flies over our heads. And we're just like, oh, there's a lot of information. I don't understand all the ins and outs, all the key players. Of course, we don't know what's going on in China. We hear these little snippets and these little rumblings, but we don't get the information from China like China can get from the US. And if it were open like that, I think it'd be a whole different game. But I do think that, as you're saying, and you pointed out, I do think there's some quiet negotiations. There are things going on that are way below the surface so that people can save face. And when this thing whole washes out, China will look like they won, America will look like they won, or you'll see that China is not going to lose face, U.S. isn't going to lose face. So I'm totally with you on that. I just pray that people, relax a little bit and enjoy the ride, man.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on? I had said it earlier, and before I ask you that, shout out to MH Caffey with the $5 super chat. If you want the real news about China, check out the China Show. Those guys know China.
Okay.
All right, I'll have to look into that. I'm not familiar with the China Show. I'll have to look into that.
Is that on YouTube,
But
by the way? Let me just real quick. I'll
yeah,
just do a quick search real quick. Make sure I have it in my notes so I can at least check it out later on. The China Show.
yeah, it's on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Let's go.
yeah, to check.
All right. Say less. I got it saved. I'll
Just
go
got
check it
out.
out later on.
But like here in America, we have the right because we have that First Amendment, and we can say anything. You can be super reckless, right? You can say
Yeah.
anything about the president, any congressperson. In China, they don't have those same rights. They don't have the ability to do that.
Right.
So the people there, I've seen a few clips. I'm sure you have as well. There's a few out there on TikTok and things of that nature where they're talking about the handbags and and all these things.
Oh
And
yeah, that's hilarious.
you're seeing some of the some of the warehouses, they are factories, they've been shut down and things of that nature. But there's very, very, very limited information, out there, that is able to get. And I think they're using that against us. But I'd like to point that out to say that just goes to show you how good we have it here in this country, that you, as a regular citizen, have the ability to say, you know what, I don't like what's going on, and I don't like what the president is doing. You have the right to do that. You'll be in some concentration camp or something like that over there.
Right. You'll be unpersoned. No, and I
Seriously.
agree. Like we can disagree with what we can not like America, but brothers and sisters, you can't do the stuff that y'all do here. All that protesting, all that mad reckless stuff y'all doing. Go to wherever and try it. For crying out loud, go to South Korea. Ask Johnny Somali. Go to South Korea and act a fool like you be acting. It's not gonna work. So now that's the freedoms that we have here do require people who are righteous and just in order to operate properly. But even with that, you cannot argue that we don't have a great system here, because there's not. Pick another country, and I'll wait. You're not gonna find another one.
Yeah.
With all our ups and downs, all our foibles, all our problems, you're not gonna find a better country that allows you to freely operate, to assemble freely. Most of you all went to church on yesterday, Sunday, worship with your families in your church community. You didn't have to duck and weave and sneak through the back door and go through an alley. No, you just rolled up at church. I mean, that's crazy. You try that in China. Try it. Try it in Dubai. Try it in Bangladesh. So it's kind of wild, but go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, dude, right now you have Christians being persecuted in different places around the country, around the world right now.
All over. Like we do in our bulletin, we have a missions praying for the persecuted church. And we have missions that we support, but we also have a praying for the persecuted church. And our leaders actually go and actually develop these lists and help us understand exactly what's going on. And the amount of persecution is staggering. I mean, there's not 10 minutes in any given day that a Christian is not murdered. Not 10 minutes that goes by. And that's insane. So miss me with the alphabet mafia and your persecution. Miss me with you not using my proper pronouns. People are being deleted on a regular basis for their Christian faith. So, and we're just completely oblivious to it. To it.
Well, that's because we live in a bubble,
We live in a
and
super bubble.
we have it so good over here. I don't know if you know this. I was in the military earlier in my life as a young man. And I was in the Navy, and I got a chance to, sail all over the place. I've been a lot of places.
Appreciate your service, man.
And thank you. And as a young man, that's when I realized, like, we have it really good.
Let me tell you.
Really good. As a 19, 20-year-old young man, I was like, oh, man. Because you think you've seen poverty because you may have lived in the projects, or maybe you quote unquote lived in the hood, or maybe you lived in the trailer park or something along those lines. You thought you seen poverty. You haven't seen poverty. That's not poverty in comparison. You know what I'm saying?
Facts and evidence, absolute facts. Somebody asked for your email. If you have an email, I don't know if somebody asked
my
for
email.
your email. Yeah, if you can maybe drop it in the chat. P. Harris.
Yeah, I'll drop it in the chat.
But no, I agree with you, man. If you travel just on vacation, the Dear World Christian family loves cruises. And so we cruise quite often, and you go places, man, and you just see all of these communities that literally hang by a thread on these cruise ships. Like they need these cruise ships to come in. If these cruise ships don't come in because of a storm, these cruise ships don't come in because of whatever reason, I mean, that almost decimates some of these communities and such like that. And I mean, they live on it. So it's, we have it good here. But you know what? We got it even better now. We got it even better now, Brother Wise.
Yeah.
Because we got Brother Denzel in the building. What's happening?
Yeah. What's going on? What's going on, Mr. Denzel? How you doing this morning, brother?
Hey, man, good to see you, brothers, and good to hear you all.
Good to have you.
Yeah,
man.
appreciate
Thank
you pulling up this morning. All right, let's get it going, man. I want to share this video with you guys, and this is I wanted to do this on Friday, but I was like, you know what? That conversation was so great, man. I didn't want to like just cut it off. I was like, you know what? Let's just finish that. But this is a cartoon that's making its rounds. You know, when I caught a hold of it, it only had like 2,000. It only had like 2,000 views when I caught a hold of it. I was like, oh man, this is going to be great. And it's basically almost going viral at this point. It's over 200,000 views. But I want to share this, and I want to show this. And this is about Shannon Sharpe and his situation. But the conversation that I really want to have is not necessarily about Shannon Sharpe, but really about man's lack of discipline that we're seeing happen time and time and time again, you know, in this nation, from some of our celebrities and just from regular Joes out there with this lack of discipline. But I want to share this video and then we'll get into that conversation there. Give me 1 second here.
Let's do it.
Gabby and Tony Busby want $50 million.
$50 million? And who you think you kidnapped, Chelsea Clinton?
This is a shakedown. Don't worry about it, Gabby.
Well,
nothing's on the screen.
Okay, what?
Well, I'm not really interested in getting choked, so I guess we're going.
I might choke you in public. To my family, friends, supporters, and colleagues, I want to speak to you directly and from the heart. This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right. This is all being orchestrated by Tony Busby, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a sex tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine.
Let me tell y'all what Shannon needs. Let me tell you what my baby needs. He need him an old fat gal who can bake good cakes, make some smothered turkey wings, who gonna rub his feet at the nighttime, okay, and gonna have a sip of his cognac to make him feel better about himself when he come home at night. That's what Shannon needs. You don't need no 26-year-old girl. You don't need no 36-year-old girl. This is your auntie talking to you. Take your ass and get your old bitch out there.
Well, what, Gabby?
You're coming to LA tomorrow?
Yes.
Well, I don't know why you want to go out.
Don't worry about it, Gabby.
Well, okay.
Okay, what?
Well, I'm not really interested in getting choked, so I guess we're going.
I might choke you in public. Big black guy chose small white woman.
It's not a good look, Shannon.
Not a good look that you did what they think you did to me. That video should actually be 10 minutes or so. Hey, Tony, instead of releasing your edit, put the whole video out. I don't have it, or I would myself.
I think white women are as great as any other women. But I'm not gonna act like I'm not scared of them. I have a reason to be scared. You could be Kang the Conqueror, and they could take your rabbit ass down in 2 weekends.
You know what happened, and you're trying to manipulate the media. The encounter in question took place during the day at her invitation, and now that appears to be a deliberate setup, coordinated by Gabby, also known as Carly on OnlyFans. Gabby and Tony Busby want $50 million. What they're getting is sued for defamation and trying to take me down. My career is all about real talk and honesty. I know my family and fans know exactly what this is about. And I'm going to be out there telling you whatever I need to say, just like I always do.
You take your ass and get your old bitch out there that can love you old. You're trying to hang out with these young bitches and you can't do it, Shannon. You just can't do it.
Damn, boy.
When they want you to go for the 4th round, you looking at her like, bitch, listen, I need you. Want some money to go to Starbucks?
Yeah,
because I can't go no further. You get your older girl, when you get to that 4th round, she gonna say, hold on. Let me go get you some eggs and cheese and some toast with apple butter, because that's gonna get your energy back up.
Yo, the internet's undefeated. The internet is undefeated. Goodness gracious.
Undefeated. All right. Wow.
Before you go, I want to make sure I show some love to who created this. Night and Day. If y'all hadn't seen this, man, go over to Night and Day. It's that, man, they put this out the other day, man. I couldn't stop laughing, man. I was like, this is hilarious.
The power of AI.
The power of AI.
Yes. Goodness gracious.
We're looking for some serious problems coming down in the future with this AI stuff, man. Because it's like, man, they can replicate you completely and make you, actually look like human and say anything they want to say. So they're gonna have to be some regulations that's gonna it's some crazy stuff gonna be happening in the future, I think, with that AI stuff, man. But that is funny. That was funny.
It was funny. Well, let me say that is everything that they said. I mean, that was in those different interviews. It's just mashed up. Mm-hmm. However, I watched one with Deion Sanders today. I don't know about that. It was that right there falls under what you're talking about, Brother Denzel. Mm-hmm. It was him talking about the draft, and I'm like, he didn't say that. He did not say that. There's no way. And I'm looking at it, and I can see his lips are not in sync with his words. I'm like, no, that's not. But it is exactly his voice. And yeah, we definitely need to be mindful of it. But in light of this conversation today, that video was hilarious.
Yes, it was.
It is. It is. But again, I don't want to. I know everybody's hashed out this particular situation with Shannon Sharpe. Everybody's hashed it out. But my question to you guys is, and we'll start with you, Brother Jason. When will men learn? Because this isn't a black man or white man thing. This is just a man thing. When will men learn that the lack of discipline could cost you everything?
I think we are on the on-ramp to getting to that place. We are currently on the on-ramp and get ready to go to 285 and jump on the highway of getting to that place where we realize that we must be disciplined and we must be aware. Now, I'm not going to sit here and just say that, every man should just run out there and go get married tomorrow. I think the way Monique said it, albeit was funny, albeit was comical, I do think that was probably the truth for Shannon Sharpe. She probably knew something more than what you need to go get you a woman that's going to be there to hold you down and stop chasing these little 26-year-olds. That's serious. But I do think we need to be mindful of, sure, we can go put it wherever we want to put it. If you got enough money, you got enough pull, you can go just do all kinds of stuff. The problem is, look at how this has ruined men. Just go down the list. We can just go down the list in the last 10 years. How many men have been ruined because they don't have discipline with their Johnson? And they're out there just putting it wherever they want to put it. It's almost like the book of Proverbs 5, 6, and 7 were almost written directly to us. That, don't go chasing after them. And again, it's such a, if God's word wasn't so clear, I would think that we were just men we had no guidance, we had no North Star, but his word is right there and it's clear what ends up happening. You'll be turned into a crust of bread and unrighteous men will eat from your labor. Is that not what Shannon just got $100 million offer and is about to lose half of it potentially because he don't have discipline?
Wow.
Okay, I want to hear what you guys say, Denzel.
Proverbs 25:28. He that has no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls. The Bible has a lot to say about character and about discipline. And we are I don't think it's just black brothers, by the way. I think this is a human thing. You got a lot of Negroes out there, white, black, Chinese,
white Negroes.
Mexican. People are just, they don't seem to want to take responsibility. They want to do the crime, but they don't want to do the time. They don't want to recognize that there is a thing called accountability. And that accountability is going to bite you at some point if you don't get it right. And I think that our society is based on this. Now, it's like everything is like, do what you want to do, be free. They call that freedom. But see, that kind of freedom has a consequence when you do the wrong thing. And I think that this is where the church comes in, and why the church is so valuable. But you have people in the church doing the same thing. Yeah, there's stuff coming out now. I think I just saw some videos on Dr. Michael Brown, a guy I highly respect, as a Christian scholar and a Jew, who is now coming out with the stuff that he's been doing behind closed doors years ago. That's coming back to bite him. When will we learn that your sins will find you out? You know, that you cannot be undisciplined and there not be a consequence to it. I mean, this blows the fact that we haven't got this lesson yet is what's blowing my mind. But God's talked about this. Now, last thing I want to say is in James chapter 3, James talks about the tongue. You see that the problem doesn't start without the tongue wagging. You know, it doesn't just happen by osmosis. Brothers be saying stuff, and they be talking themselves into situations. James 3 talks about the danger of the tongue. So all I'm saying is that if people would just get back to the word of God, as like my brother said, we would have a lot less problems. I'm telling you, a whole lot less problems.
Oh, we definitely would. But that's a lot of the problem right there, is that we are so far removed from the word.
Yes.
That we are. I think you mentioned it, Mr. Giselle, that do as thou wilt. We're whatever makes you feel good, and people consider that being freedom. And yeah, you have free will, and you have the ability to make whatever choice you want to. You don't get to choose the consequences, though.
There you go.
There you go.
That's the issue right there. You get to make the choice to do whatever it is that you want to do. You don't get to choose the consequence. Somebody else will choose those for you.
But
whether you go out here and commit a crime or a judge or whatever. Go ahead.
But then they'll complain about the consequences. This is the irrationality of it all. It's like, how dare you hold me accountable? How dare you hold me? What's wrong with you, dude?
Let me just jump in, because I appreciate this. Thank y'all for allowing me to flex this out. Proverbs 5, 12, 13, and 14. And it goes exactly along with what you just said. And the young man has been out there wilding out, and the consequences have come for him. Listen to what he says. He says, how I hated discipline, and my heart despised reproof. I did not listen to the voice of my teachers or incline my ear to my instructors. I'm at the brink of utter ruin in the assembly of the congregation. Notice what you don't hear here. Let me hold on real quick, do a quick count. There are 9 personal pronouns used in this quick little 3 verses, and they all are directed at me. I did this, my fault. He ain't blaming the white man. He ain't blaming the system. He ain't blaming his granddaddy or systemic nothing. He is blaming his own rock head. And so what I'm seeing here is that we don't have accountability. Like this, again, I just submit to y'all Proverbs 5, 6, and 7. Read it, memorize it, get it tattooed on your head, something. But I really think it will help you see this is our problem. This is our problem in 4K.
Amen.
You're absolutely right. Wow. The crazy thing is that, we were talking about just falling away, from the word. There was a video that's going around. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see it, but you know how they go out and they do these interviews, these street interviews. They're at man on the street type interviews. And they're, if I'm not mistaken, I believe they were in Houston.
Shout out to Houston.
Galveston area or something along those lines. They do the spring break down there in Galveston or whatever the case may be. There's a guy going around and he's asking, and mainly in the Galveston area, if you know about Houston, man, Houston is almost like Atlanta, as far as when you look at the black population, it's a really large black population down there. And, he's asking him, can you name 5 books, in the Bible?
Can you name the other planets?
Couldn't do it. I was just like, wow. I was like, that's how far removed we are from the word, that you have young people, young black people that can't recite 5 books from the Bible.
Yeah.
And that's where we are today. And the thing is that, this isn't this situation with Shannon Sharpe. It's not a black thing. It's not a white thing. It's a man thing that's happening right now. And a lot of it has to do with the fact, because when you see the lawsuit, of that San Diego Padre baseball player, a very similar situation where the young lady said that he, choked her or whatever the case may be. He ended up getting off on the case or whatever. But how much money did it cost him? He ended up being suspended from the league for a while he fought the case. And it come to find out that it was a, false accusation. But had you not even been with that, individual in the first place, you wouldn't have found these, had these false accusations on you. You look at the young dude out of Buffalo that got drafted, the kicker, who got drafted, and then he ended up, before he even got to play a down, out the league, suspended, while he had to go through and, go through that process. So it's like, how many different cases, how many different situations need to be, put out there for the forefront? Because the thing is that these are people that actually got a little name enough for it to be talked about, on media for those of us, for us to get out there and talk about. But how many people, go to work and they just got a regular job and they messing with somebody that they work with, knowing that you got a girlfriend or you got a wife at home, but this is your quote unquote work girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're putting your livelihood on the line for, something that, a little bit of fleeting pleasure. I mean, it's ridiculous. And the lack of discipline that's out there, it saddens me, but you also understand that you have predators out there and they're taking full advantage of those people. Like, even listening to the Shannon Sharp conversation, I mean, I'm surprised that 2 and 2 didn't get together, matching his head and say, she recording this. Because the way she came across, it sounded like she was trying to
recording it
and saying certain things, and he couldn't see it. It's crazy.
But I think also, and I've said this before, I don't think Shannon Sharp was, he positioned himself as very disciplined and this, that, and the third. He was mad reckless. I'm like, no, Shannon was, he was super reckless. And sadly, this has come back to haunt him. I do think it's probably a shakedown. I do believe that there was probably a lot of being consensual. But sir, at some point, I don't expect you, I mean, he's 3 years older than me, to be acting like you're 23 years younger than me. That don't make no sense. Like, at some point, I agree with Monique, bro, go get you somebody that's going to hold you down, marry her, and be quiet and just lay low and keep doing what you're doing, but stop being out in them streets, because it's just crazy.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. It's sad. It's sad. Every time I see one of these stories, it really saddens me, because even when Shannon Sharp got out there and he spoke, he was like, oh, this Busby, just trying to take another black man down. But had you not put yourself in that position to be taken down, this wouldn't be a conversation. You opened the door up for him by, or you open the door up for this with your lack of discipline.
That's right.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's not just his lack of discipline, but you have to understand. You have to blame these women too. You have to understand that these women are loose and they are loaded and they are looking for somebody to bring down. I mean, it's just, the society today is like, that's becoming the norm. It's like a Sodom and Gomorrah thing going on. It's sad. There's a story about your sister that was a lady that was out there trying to break the Guinness Book of Records of how many men she could sleep with in one day. I mean, the debauchery is now that's going to come back to bite her one day, and she doesn't even realize it. I think Candace was trying to get her to come to grips with what the consequences were. She didn't want to hear it, and her mother was involved with it. Our mother was part of it. The parents were involved. This again, we are living in the last days, and the debauchery. I mean, I always say that we Christians have our work cut out for us, and which is why we have to live such a high standard. And this is why I always put a lot on us, because even among us, sometimes we want to poo-poo our accountability with why it's so important and why God speaks so much about us living holy and being righteous and being consistent in our holiness and righteousness. Because there's so many that's just playing the field, and they're doing what they want to do, and then they want to tag Jesus onto it. So
Absolutely.
Our light has to be so bright, it has to be so consistent that they can look on us, like Peter said in the book of Acts, 3rd chapter. Too many Christians can't say look on us, because we know that we got skeletons in our closet that we don't want to confess, and eventually it's going to come out, so we got to be quiet. We don't want to say anything. I thank God for brothers like us that are out talking about this. Even if you find some dirt on me, listen, pull it up, bring it out, I'll talk about it, because I'm not scared of anything, because God already knows. And the more honest I am, more transparent I am, the more dedicated I am to truth, the less you can use my bad past to incriminate me. As a matter of fact, if you get a chance, look at my pastor's messages last Sunday on from Perfecting Faith. He talked about his past. And the powerful message. He talked about how important it was not to let your sins of your past be hidden so that people can use it against you. Are you listening to me?
Yeah,
And he
absolutely.
talked candidly about it. And I mean, I saw tears in brothers' eyes. I'm saying that this is what it's all about. Pure honesty, truth. And Brother Wise, I meant to say this when I first started, because your commentary you were doing before you came to this message. You are so tight in your commentary. You are so tight in your commentary, and you are hitting some very key points. I really appreciate the way you lay out your commentary when you're talking about these things. Truth is so important, man. I love you guys. I love you, brothers, and I think that we need more of us out here doing this kind of thing, man. I just got to say it, because truth is what helps people. Candidness is what helps people, not games. Not trying to excuse things and alibi things. Or the truth is what's going to be. Jesus said, it's the truth that's going to set men free, and the truth, knowing the truth that's going to set men free.
I agree 100%.
And thank you for that. We got a super chat I want to read, and shout out to Crystal Beyond Labels. She says, "Good morning, ARP family. People need to understand that God's word is living, breathing God for us. We would avoid so many pitfalls if we follow it. Any area without God is spiritual blindness." You're absolutely right there. And thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. I want to move to the next subject here. I don't know if you guys, Mr. Diz, I don't know if you watch football. We haven't had that conversation. I'm a big football fan. Grew up down south, man. So if you know anything, and Jason, I know you down there right around where I grew up at. Football is everything. High school football is huge. It's huge. But, NFL draft just happened Thursday, Friday, Saturday. There's a lot of hoopla around the draft, but really around one player. And Shador Sanders, we don't talk about it. But it's not so much that, he didn't get drafted, he did get drafted and where he got drafted, but it's the rhetoric around him being drafted. And, you got a lot of folks out there. You got you got the race hustlers out there saying that it's racist that he didn't go in the first round. I want to share this clip with you guys, and then we'll get into it and talk about it. I really love to hear, what you guys think about this.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, brother.
To be honest, this Shador Sanders conversation is pissing me off, like badly, because it's such a good example of how little people actually understand white supremacy and racism, and yet somehow everyone thinks that they are experts in white supremacy and racism to be able to be the arbiters of what isn't racist, what isn't white supremacy, especially from people who have never experienced white supremacy in certain ways, who have never considered white supremacy in certain ways, right? Just because you can say, oh, it's wrong for the police to barge into a woman's home while she's asleep and murder her, or it's wrong for the police to kneel on somebody's neck until they suffocate and die. Okay, those are not the only ways that white supremacy and racism manifest, especially not in the daily life of black and brown people. And this is something that I think also because people internalize these things so much, these systems and these constructs and this history, that even a lot of black and brown people don't understand white supremacy and racism, not truly. So what I've seen a lot in relation to Shador is this idea of, well, he's so egotistical, we got to humble him. Well, that's interesting, because I don't see the same narrative, about white quarterbacks. I've seen that actually be something that's a positive, right? Oh, they have edge to them. We want our quarterbacks to have edge. So there's that. But largely, again, the idea of needing to humble or break down a black person is racist. It's racist, right? The idea that you want to dilute an unapologetic young black man who has bravado, who, again, has deep confidence, sometimes maybe erring on arrogance, but that you feel like you need to humble, and not just humble, but now humiliate him, a top 10 Heisman candidate. It's white supremacy, right? You have a bunch of team owners, right? Largely white men, colluding to break down a young black man. Oh yeah, no. We're gonna teach this boy a lesson. That is racism. That is absolutely racism. And when people bringing up things like, oh, well, other black quarterbacks have been drafted, other black players have been drafted. Yes, it's a largely black league that is also a racist league, right? Did Colin Kaepernick not happen?
Come on. Thank
Okay,
you.
I can't take much more. I can't
Thank
take much
you
more
so
than that.
much. I should have put it in the
Take much
private
more than
chat.
that.
Like, just stop, man. I'm about to start. This is
I
like
couldn't take
that
much
should
more
come
than
with a
that.
self-harm. That should have came with a self-harm warning before you listen to this.
Good Lord.
I pulled it up.
Before you go, real quick, I super chat real quick. Shout out to True Believer with the $5 super chat. It says here, Hosea chapter 4, verse 6, my people perish for lack of knowledge. We need to get involved in his word and stay in it. Bible is absolutely our God. Thank you very much for the $5 super chat. Go ahead, Jason.
No, I just look. The first 2 draft picks were black. What are you talking about? You're just dumb. I'm sorry. And I'll say this again. Y'all are welcome to disagree with me. If you obsess about race, and I'm going to use race, if you obsess about it, if you find the boogeyman and the Ku Klux Klan under every rock and behind every tree, you will eventually leave the Christian faith. You will have to. So if you're somebody now if you're somebody who's not a Christian, you're going to keep paganism. So pagans going to keep paganism. But if you're somebody who professes to be a Christian and you obsess about it, you're always looking for the Ku Klux Klan under every rock, you will eventually start leaving the faith. And you'll start saying stuff that is as ignorant as that young man right there, that racism is everywhere. I've heard people say that racism is in the air. I've done reviews of people saying they were racist in utero, in their mother's womb. You will start saying insanity because you have now, because it's taken over your mind and you're literally looking for it everywhere. So this right here is egregious because you want me to believe, because this is why I say that this is insane. You want me to believe that these owners, these men that are worth multi-billions of dollars, don't want their teams to be successful because there's another black man on the team when they already got 9,500 black people on their team already. They don't want this one because why? That's stupid. And you sound ridiculous, my guy. No, they want to win just like every other team wants to win. But you want me to believe that they colluded to not take on Shedeur Sanders because he was black, but they did pick the other black. Was he the wrong shade of black? Like, no, you mocha. No, we only want dark chocolate this week. We only go with milk chocolate. This is ridiculous. But see, this is what happens when you only obsess about that stuff. And I mock it and make fun of it because you look ridiculous when you could be just easily. Now, I do want to talk about why I don't think they picked young Sanders, but I'm going to let Denzel go.
Well, I have to 100% agree with you. This is insanity, but it is a normalized insanity now. It's unfortunate that everything has to be race, and it just exonerates you from all other kind of stupidity, And I think that you have to face these people off. And I had a conversation with my nephew for 2 hours when I was out in Virginia about the same topic. And I finally got him to convince him that he was incorrect, but it took 2 hours to do it. The fact that you can't acknowledge that this brother said things, and his father may have said things to piss these owners off and to make them not want to do whatever they did, that did not have anything to do with his color. The fact that you could not see that is scary, because it shows a lack of a willingness on the part of a lot of black people to face simple truth that you can do something wrong and be punished for it and have nothing to do with your blackness. Brothers go to work every day and get fired because they don't do their job, and the owner has to be racist because he fired you. It's not sensible. It doesn't make any sense. But again, it is a comfortable excuse that they're using. I don't let them get away with it. Not in my presence.
Let me jump in. Let me jump into that.
Amen.
We've allowed that comfortable excuse for too long.
Yes.
And I call it the highly melanated. We need to come on up here to the front of the church.
Please.
We need to get all of them up here to the front of the church
Yeah.
and give them a good, thorough,
Yeah.
because we allow it.
Yes, we
It doesn't matter if the Patties and Tommies and Sallies and them down the street allow it.
Right.
We allow it, and we know that we're wrong.
Right.
We know we're wrong.
Right.
So we need to go ahead and just say, come on up here to the front of the church. Let's go ahead and have a conversation. We need to hold ourselves accountable and be accountable and say, I'm a bad worker. I'm a bad employee. I'm a terrible employee. And I just so happen to be a bad black employee. But and just admit it and then get and leave all that other dumb stuff alone. Because when you throw racism into it, people's minds check out. Now, racism don't mean nothing.
Don't mean nothing.
The word doesn't even mean anything.
It's lost its significance. That's right.
Right.
Absolutely.
So it don't matter if you say I got fired because of racism. Okay, rain is wet. I'm like, what did you tell me? You didn't tell me anything. I got fired because I was doing a bad job on my job, man. That's really what happened, man. I was doing a piss poor job.
Showed up to work late a few times, more than what I should have.
I might have showed up early. I might have showed up on time only a few times. Right.
Yeah, that too. Well, the thing is that when people throw out there, it's like, oh, it's racist the reason why you didn't get drafted. It's racist the why you didn't get the job. It takes accountability away from you. You don't have to look in the mirror. You don't have to say, you know what, I could have did X, Y, and Z better.
Differently.
And in reference to this situation here, and I'm sure because they did dial it back about a month or so before the draft actually happened. But if you guys recall, during the Super Bowl week, when Deion was out there talking that, hey, we're going to control this process. We're only talking to certain teams. We're not going to interview with certain teams because I don't want him going there. Those types of things will rub people the wrong way. Imagine going to an interview and you're telling the people when you sit down to interview with them, what you going to do? Now I got a choice to say, you know what? This isn't a team player. This isn't somebody I really want a part of my team because he's already coming in making demands. The other thing that we know about the NFL will tolerate a whole lot of foolishness when you can play. When you are the best of the best, when you're considered the top person, if you're considered the number one pick in the draft, like the top overall, they'll deal with some shenanigans. They will. They'll deal with it because they'll take the talent. But if you go and look at it, not just what ESPN says and not what Mel Kiper says, because Mel Kiper's always wrong. If you know anything about the draft prospect, he's always wrong. He's never right. You know what I'm saying?
That's messed up.
I mean,
right.
dude, I've been watching this for a long time. He is more wrong than he is right.
Correct.
Now, when you get to the real football people, they had Shedeur as a second round prospect. He was the 40th ranked prospect in the draft. Now, a lot of times these quarterbacks, they get overdrafted a lot of times.
Right.
And sometimes they'll slide their way into the first round, not because they had a first round grade, but because they just got overdrafted because that's what they do in the NFL.
Right.
But when you hear the word on the street that, hey, certain teams, he wouldn't take the interview. When you hear that when he showed up to the New York Giants, he was unprepared.
Yeah.
When they asked him to get up there on the whiteboard and like draw out plays and diagrams and explain to us why this happened, why that happened, and you were unprepared. And these are things that are starting to come out.
Nice.
That, hey, he showed up, the interviews that he did show up to, he wasn't prepared for. That's a problem.
Let me also
not to mention, and one other thing, not to mention is that he played in the Big 12. He played for Colorado. If you look at the first round this year, 95% of the players picked in the first round were from the SEC and from the Big 10, the biggest schools with the best conference and the best players. Go ahead, Jason.
No, and many of y'all know, just story time with Whitaker, many of y'all know I'm a former classroom teacher. And when students were coming up from moving up from kindergarten to first grade and from first grade to second grade, I taught second grade, we knew about their parents. And it was never an instance where somebody wouldn't come knock on your door and say, hey, let me see your roll. Oh, you got little Johnny? Man, his mom is a mess. His mom and grandma and auntie be coming up there acting a fool. Just know. Remember that lady that was cussing me out in the office? Yeah, that's his mom. Oh, bruh, I'm praying for you. That kind of stuff. Never failed. The kid, good, bad, or indifferent, sad to say, my perception of the child is greatly skewed by the interaction that the parents bring to the building. Deion Sanders, I'm sorry. I like Coach Prime. But sir, you were presenting yourself like you were going to be a problem. No owner would want to deal with that. Now, sadly, I can't just say, little Ray, I don't want you in my class because your mom and your grandma are crazy. I couldn't have done that. These owners said, nah, maybe we don't want that. Maybe we don't want all of that attention that you're going to get over on social media and start getting reckless because your son didn't play like you thought or because something happened. Something didn't go the way you thought it would be, Pops. Maybe we don't want your son for that. Add to it the fact that the young man wasn't properly prepared. He didn't come from the conference that maybe would have been most receptive, so on and so forth. So there's some other things in there. And I think the lion's share of the issues lay on the Sanders, whether it be senior or the son's shoulders. Just my little 2 cents.
No, you're right. And I think that Stephen A. Smith nailed it also. He did a commentary on it and he really went off on them. And he did point out that there were some things that Deion said and did that could force the owners to clap back. There was his son's ego. They got the way people tend to especially owners. You don't want somebody in a team that's gonna cause a lot of problems. And sometimes, especially if their problem is not worth the money they're being paid. And he's like hashtagging legend, stuff like that. Like he's already a legend. He hadn't done nothing yet to make him a legend, other than what his father did. So there are legitimate concerns, and I think that we ought to be fair. But Black people sometimes have a tendency of just looking at color, and color becomes the primary concern, and they don't care nothing about truth. I think it's like a religion to them. It's like color has become a religion.
Oh, it is.
And I worship my skin color, and I praise my skin color, and I'm going to defend I was on the train yesterday, and a Black sister had a jacket on with the words in the back saying, "I got your back, sister." In other words, nothing about whether you're right or wrong. Just I got your back. Basically, you can kill somebody. I got your back. You can curse God.
I mean,
I got
but we're
your
seeing.
back.
Are we not seeing that play out right now? With the Carmelo Anthony situation, are we not seeing it play out? Even with the Shedeur situation, because people will say, "Oh, these teams, they're not telling the truth that he wasn't prepared when he showed up for the interview." They're just all colluding against him. But the thing too is that I'll say this, and Jason, with you being a school teacher, you know this. And you kind of alluded to it a little bit, but the NFL is a very small community of people. Absolutely. They all are 1 or 2, degrees of separation from each other. Like they all know each other. And if you think that they're not having conversations with each other, about players, about different teams, owners, different coaches, if you think they're not having these types of conversations, because, even in my world, before getting into this, I worked in tech, and it's a real small community, and you start to know the people that work, in these companies, because you'll see on a resume, like, oh, 3 years ago, oh, my homeboy worked over here. And then what you'll do is that backdoor reference. Hey, do you remember such and such? They get that. People don't know that these backdoor references happen. They do.
Right. They do.
These backdoor references are real.
That's right.
I dare say that they're almost hard baked. They're hardwired into the system.
That's right.
There's no way that I'm not, if I know, like, for example, I know Brother Denzel is doing Substack. You were mentioning Substack wise, so I went ahead and got on Substack. I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea. And I'm like, good, Denzel is right here. I'm going to reach out to him. I need to reach out to him because he does it. I do follow you.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm following you. So just that little bit of connection right there.
Yes.
I might become a Substack maven, right? But this happens in everything, in law, in education, in every field. If you just work, if you just go to school with people and eventually all of y'all go off into your different fields, you're going to see each other at homecoming. You're going to be there. So it's not unheard of. So the idea that these owners might like, man, that dude is a problem. That dude might be a problem. And we don't need any more problems. We lost too much steam with the kneeling thing. We lost too much steam during the pandemic. We need to we're trying to win games and make this money. So we need some less attention off field and more attention on the field. So it's very possible they said that.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's going to, again, birds of a feather flock together. You got something very, very seriously in common with each other, and you're going to look out for each other when it's worth looking out for each other's back. You're going to look out for each other's back, because what hurts you is going to hurt me eventually. So that's common sense. nothing wrong with that
Absolutely.
at all. It had
I
nothing to
got
do
I
with
got a
race.
question to ask you guys. I got a question. I want to do read a super chat real fast. Joseph Orsini, shout out to him for the $9.99 super chat. Says in my 49 years of being white, I've never met a white supremacist. Okay. Honestly, in my 45 years, I can't necessarily say, at least overtly to my face, I can't say that I've met one. Overtly to my face, could they have been, on the low, behind my back? Highly probable. I don't know. But but most time nowadays it's not as overt as one would make it seem today.
Amen. I got to take Vince Evans' position on this. I don't think there's such a thing, such a creature exists. I don't think it's such a. But I do know that there are people who think they are better than black people,
Absolutely.
and there are black people that think they're better than white people. So and the funny thing is that when you hear them argue this, they argue that you have to have power to be a racist. That's their logic, which is go ahead, brother.
No. That's the new definition that they've used.
Right.
Because the classic definition has always been that I am inherently different from you and better than you physically.
Right.
Okay. And that's what I call the classic definition of racism.
And that
they added, was it power and privilege?
Yeah.
Because they knew that black people were being racist.
Yes.
So they knew that. So they're like, well, you got to have power and privilege in order to be racist. So therefore, black people can't be racist. So what you're saying is basically that I'm an infantile to white people. Okay, got you. You're just an idiot. I'm not gonna play your game.
The new definition is the CRT college definition that they've been spreading and sharing with everyone, where they made it based around power. Like, oh well, black people don't have no power, you can't be racist. But when you look at the actual definition, if you go and look at Webster's,
the classic
definition,
right.
the classic definition, it doesn't have anything to do with power, class, or any of those other things there. But I got a question for you guys, in reference to this situation here. What do you say to the people that say, well, Archie Manning was able to, kind of finagle some things, for his son, specifically they're talking Eli, and no one said anything about the fact that, he used whatever cachet that he may have had to make sure that he was able to, put his son in a certain position. What would you say to that?
I'll jump in. You ready? Show me Archie Manning's tweets, if you don't mind. Can you pull those up for me real quick? Can you show me his Facebook posts about the topic? Archie Manning specifically. I'll wait. Go ahead and go pull them up real quick. I know they're easy to find because they're not. He wasn't reckless like that. And he only said that he didn't want his son to play for one team. He didn't say, he said one team. How many teams are there? There's 30 teams.
32, I think.
32 teams. So 31 teams he could still play for 31 teams. He just didn't want to play for one team. Deion said he only wanted to play for 5. He can only play at 5 teams. So he excluded 26 others. That's a whole different game. Yeah. That's entirely different. I don't think anybody's saying that you can't politic for your child's success. Nobody's doing that. Nobody's saying that. What we are saying, however, is that the involvement of the parent does end up causing tension amongst the players, the coaches, the owners, and so forth that might not be what the team wants. That's really it.
Amen. And also, what scale is he on in reference to Deion when it comes to his legendary position?
I think Deion from legendary status, I think Deion's definitely much more, because Deion's a Hall of Famer. Archie Manning is not a Hall of Famer.
Correct. So therefore that makes Deion's comments and actions a lot more threatening to the owners than
more powerful, right?
You see? So again, there is a lot of intelligent reasons for what's happening without throwing race in there. And I like my brother, I said, we got to stop these race hustlers from using this, because that thing hurts all of us. Because you have to understand that people see all of black people like that, unless you open your mouth and defend yourself, as being race hustlers. Because everybody, and I have to be honest, a lot of black people around me, and including in the church, are suffering from that condition. I see it everywhere. I sit down, I don't say anything, but I'll sit and listen to conversations among my black brothers and sisters, and I hear them talking a lot. Like every now and then I find one that's enlightened. and they'll say, I agree with you, Brother Monk, but most of the time they just, it's race, and that religion has to be cast out of the church. I'm sorry, it has to be cast out of the church.
Yeah, I'm tired of hearing, and Jason, you live where you live at, there's a lot of well-to-do Black people that still are using using race as a crutch or a reason why they're not more successful than what they already are, and they're extremely successful, which I find ridiculous.
Wow.
It is gross, but it's almost, I just finished a book about the rare jewel of Christian contentment. I highly recommend, by Jeremiah Burris. I just finished that, and it really points out, man, that God has given us so much, and all we're doing, really, if you really boil down what we're talking about right here, it's a 10th commandment violation. It's somebody looking at what Wise has. I'm looking at what Brother Denzel has, and I just want it. It's not fair that Brother Wise has that deep Barry White voice. I'm mad about that. I want that. It's not fair that Brother Denzel has a cool Substack. I want that. And I'm just jealous. I'm bitter. I'm angry. And I'm not satisfied with what God has given me. That's all it is, really. And you'll know it. Listen to anybody argue for reparations. You know good and well that green-eyed monster come out quick and fast in a hurry. So there's so much that we have, and sadly, we're missing the opportunities that we have literally at our fingertips because we're busy looking at other people's pockets.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Wow. Beautiful point.
Yeah.
Beautiful point.
Well, and in reference to Archie, I will say this, and anybody that has said that, to me, like, oh man, he got the chance to do it. And Jason, you're absolutely right when you said the tweets, the and some of the other posts and things of that nature. I also don't recall Archie Manning getting on any interview saying that we're controlling this, we're doing this. He was really covert about how he went about doing it. And it only came out because you had reporters, I guess, doing their job in reporting saying, hey, this is the word on the street that's going down on the low. He wasn't really boisterous about how he wanted to go about doing it. The other thing that I will say too is that, hey, as they say in the military, rank has its privileges. I think it's the same thing in the NFL. When you can play, last time I checked, Peyton Manning was the number one prospect coming out. Eli Manning was 1A, 1B, with him and I can't remember the other guy that got drafted with him that turned out to be a bust. Ryan something, I can't think his name right now. But he was going to be, one of the first two quarterbacks picked in the NFL, no matter what. That was going to happen. It was considered the best prospect, period. So I think the approach that they took the approach like Shedeur was Deion Sanders coming out, considered the best athlete coming out into the draft when he came out in '89. So he could say, I'm not talking to certain people because he had enough cachet to do so. There you go, Buddha, Ryan Leaf.
Right.
He had enough cachet to do so, and you tried that same approach.
Right.
With a player that didn't have the same type of cachet, who really should have just been grateful for the opportunity to be considered to join the league.
There you go. Wow.
And that's a lot of the problem. And that's, for me, what's really, really gross and disgusting, about the way this whole thing played out is because you got people out there who believe that he is owed something by the NFL. And to be honest with you, there is not a company, there is not an organization or anybody out there that owe you anything. They don't owe you anything.
Right.
You're going to earn an opportunity. And what we know about the league is that, hey, it's extremely competitive.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you're competing for, we're also talking about the quarterback position. There's only 32 starting spots.
That's right.
There's only 32 in the world.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
There's only 32 starting spots in the entire world.
That's right.
And you're competing for one of those opportunities. And going into this draft, there was only about 3 or 4 teams that actually needed a quarterback in the grand scheme of things. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying you got to go in there hat in hand, poor me, but I do think that you need to put on a professional face.
That's right.
And go and try to present yourself in the most positive light possible.
That's right. They both shot themselves in the foot.
That's just my opinion.
Amen. You're right.
And the fact that you have people out there saying that it's racism the reason why he didn't get picked and not his attitude and not his play on the field, that bothers me because
me too.
So what are you saying about Cam Ward, who was the number 1 overall pick? What are you saying about Travis Hunter, who was the number 2 overall pick? You know what I'm
Duh.
saying?
Right.
Both young black men. What are you saying? What are you saying about them? You know
I
what
ain't
I'm
talking
saying?
about
Like,
them. I ain't talking about them. I ain't talking about them.
Well, then your argument is silly. That's what I'm saying. I agree with
yeah,
you
yeah,
1,000%. And matter of fact, I heard somebody talk about Travis Hunter. And one of the things, every clip I heard about Travis Hunter, they said he's coachable, he's a good player, this, that, and the third. Everything about his field prowess
Wow.
was positive.
Yes.
I'm like, well, then he deserved every dime he got. And I
well,
pray that
and
he
his
continues.
attitude.
Right. He had
You know how many times you heard about Travis Hunter's attitude?
on the
Man,
field.
this is
Yeah.
good kid, on and off.
Wow.
Good kid, man. Gracious when we came to sit down and interview him. Good dude.
Wow.
And the thing is that you guys know this, man. People want to be around good people, man.
Yes, sir.
You want to hire. I've been in positions to hire people. If you rub me the wrong way, I don't want you on my team because you, to me, okay, we got a good thing going over here. The last thing you want to do is hire somebody that's gonna come in and
be a
throw
problem.
that and throw that off.
Right.
Yes, sir, brother. I worked at a college for 30 years, and as a supervisor, I had to interview people for jobs. Man, I tell you, I dropped a lot of people really quickly just by talking to them. Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me add just back to the Manning conversation. Again, as a former classroom teacher, the worst thing in the world, the very worst thing that you can have happen is have a school where a lot of the teachers' kids actually attend the school. And the very, very worst thing is that the principal or assistant principal's child attends the school. You might as well just go ahead and, because you know that child somehow or another, because everybody else, it was random lottery how you got kids, but somehow or another, that principal's Miss Butterfly's child always ends up in the top teacher's classroom every year. Mr. Caterpillar's child always ends up in the top teacher's classroom. I'm not saying there was any kind of shenanigans. I'm just saying that you can't prove that there wasn't shenanigans.
Right.
Because it failed. They never went in the the first year teacher's class. Never. It was always the vet who had been there forever and a day. So it just seems like, but just we see that there and nobody would have a problem. Nobody would say anything. But here in this situation, now everybody got a problem.
Yeah, I really want to see. I want to see people pick the racist tropes. You know, I want to see that go away. I don't know if it's going to happen because what we do know is that this race hustle industry, I mean, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. There's a lot of people that make money on, keeping people, enraged, about this.
Yeah.
I mean, you think
And
about
it's
how much money
religion.
was made over the past 4 days and talking about how Shador didn't get picked when there's brothers all up and down, first, second, third, fourth, fifth round brothers all up and down getting picked. But the one guy that didn't get picked the way you thought or where you thought, all of this, the entire system's racist. And you want to, the NFL is this and the system and the man is against you. We got to stop that, man.
Yeah.
It's
You're
not
right.
helping.
The money is a big
It's not
thing, but
helping.
you're right, brother. The money is a big thing, but it's also religion, like I said. And so that's what's going to be, you can't snuff that out overnight. That's something that's, that's ingrained in people. And you talking to them, I've talked to enough brothers and sisters to see how ingrained it was in them. And it was, I've had them actually yell at me, just blow up, just because you suggest that it's something is not racism that they think is racist. I mean, you complete the facial expressions, the octaves of their voice that changes. It's
Yeah,
deep.
it does.
It's deep, man.
Well, but the thing is that you have the problem is you have college educated people who believe that this is the case because on these college campuses, this CRT and some of these other things that they're drilling into these guys, these young men and women. It's being drilled into them. And if you work in corporate America, at least, I mean, you're going to see it being pulled out. But if you've worked in corporate America for probably the past 5 years, it's been drilled there. That you're marginalized and you're this. But I'm like, wait, they're paying you $150,000 a year to be here. Like, what's marginalized about that? You know what I'm saying? You're making almost 3 times, the average American. How are you marginalized? I don't get it. But it's coming from a lot of these college campuses. And then you get these people out here that make a ton of money, but yet they still see themselves, as a victim. And the reality of it is, as a man thinketh, so is he. So, if you truly believe that you are a victim and you think it, I mean, you kind of have to be because that's what you think you are. But
Right.
it's got to go away, man. It really does. It's got to
Brother,
stop.
Brother Wise, you're right. It's definitely being pumped on the college campuses, but it's also being pumped grassroots. I was at an event recently, at a repass, and right away I heard brothers and sisters getting together talking about race, and they were just the stuff. It's just like everywhere you go, we're ministering to each other. This stuff we're pumping this into each other. You know, was it a party, a wedding, a baseball game, or whatever you know where you're at. You get around black people and they start talking about what they're going through, and race comes up, and it becomes he's racist, and it's just everywhere. It's ingrained in people. And I think that the only sobering thing to do is that if someone is in a crowd that has enough intelligence to understand what the real problem is, to try to convey it to them, and you have to use wisdom to do that, because you'll become a target. They'll hate you for just saying something that's true. They literally hate you and disown you. That kind of thing happens. So this is deeply ingrained. I don't know what the answer is to it, other than, like I said,
That was my next question.
Each one teach.
That was my next question to you. Yeah.
It took my nephew, like I said, it took me 2 hours to talk to my nephew to convince him that he was wrong about one specific thing about white power. And it took me 2 hours to talk to him. I don't have that kind of time with everybody. So yeah, but knowing your stuff is number one. That's the answer. The answer is number one. You have to know where you're coming from. You have to know your stuff. You have to have receipts. You have to have receipts. Brother Jay, but what's my brother here? He just
Jason.
Jason. He often talks about receipts. And you do too, Brother Wise. You have to have receipts, and then you have to use the two of those things when you're in your conversations to navigate their anger and their emotionalism, and just nail them with the truth, and hopefully you'll convince them. I mean, it may not happen, but listen, we got to try, right?
Right.
Yeah. Jason, I'll give you the last word on this, man. We're gonna get out of here.
Oh, no problem. I agree, man. Thank you for the conversation. I just tell people all the time, hey, you don't have to know all of the answers. You don't have to know all the answers. Just know how to ask the right questions.
Right.
And if you're presented by somebody with that, just ask them, can you show me where is this? So I might be able to see it. I always tell people when they say that Jesus was a social justice warrior. Okay, really? Can you give me the book, chapter, and verse in context so that I can go home and read it, and I'll come back tomorrow and I will agree with you that Jesus was a social justice warrior. See, I don't need you to eisegete it for me and exegete it for me into craziness. I want to be able to read it myself, so I should be able to come to that same conclusion. Amen. So same thing here. Say, okay, you say that every white person is racist. Was your white dentist who cleaned your teeth, was he? Oh, they weren't racist. Okay, so maybe not all white people. Okay, what about the one that not all. So maybe not all white people are racist then, my guy. Maybe you're just being able to ask really good questions.
Yes.
And push back on them. And at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, I'm not going to be able to convince you. It's going to have to be the Lord opening up your mind and seeing that you're logically inconsistent. Amen. And that you're living a life of despair, truthfully, because you're just sitting there, woe is me. I got a field of diamonds, but I'm mad that you got 2 more diamonds than I got in your yard. I don't even know how that works. I don't know. So,
Brother,
but
I know you gave him the last word, Brother Wise, but remember on the phone conversation we had, I said the same thing to you. I was talking about the questions, asking the right questions, right? So that's a blessing, Jason. You confirmed what I was saying to Brother Wise over the phone to you a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And when you do start asking those questions, a lot of times they kind of give you that blank stare, because you're not going to really get an answer, not right off the rip. You get that blank stare because I don't think they've ever been challenged like that. I think they're so used to that echo chamber. They're so used to, oh yeah, it is, and it is. And when you start asking questions, they don't know how to handle that.
Let me add one more thing. I apologize, bro. Somebody said this is the best panel, and I agree with them. I agree with Brian M. right there. This is the best panel. When you ask a question, I'm going to tell you this right now. Be comfortable with just letting them sit there. So I ask you the question, and I'm just going to sit there. Don't let them off the hook. Do not let them off the hook. Don't. If you say, show me where so-and-so has been racist. And just sit. Don't let them off the hook. Let them sit there and flounder and flip, but they are going to have to answer that question. No. I want you to tell me how Jim Bob is racist. I'll wait. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and flip to your phone. Show me where he's been racist. And because really what the problem is, the real problem is most people haven't been challenged in their ideas.
Nope.
So this is sadly what happens to a lot of our children when they go to college. They know that they're supposed to go to church. I'm Christian because I went to church, but they've never been questioned about, okay, wait, hold on. Jesus died in this, that, and the third, or you believe in a talking donkey, you believe that Jonah was swallowed by a whale, all those kind of things like that. And then they get challenged and then like, and it starts crumbling because they've never been challenged. I ask my kids all the time. I challenge them like I'm a doggone atheist because they're not going to go. My big girl about to leave in 3 months. You're not going to go up in there and say, my dad never challenged me about this. I was never challenged about these topics. You're going to be challenged up in Whitaker Park. But a lot of people have never been challenged. So to the point that you made a while ago, Denzel, a lot of people will just allow you to get away with saying, Wise is just a mean dude. He's just mean racist. And then they say, okay, fine. Wise is a mean
and
racist.
Repeat it. And they'll repeat it.
And we'll go print shirts on it and put it on blogs. And we'll never ask, how in the world did you conclude that Wise was being racist? Oh, well, he was racist because he didn't, he paid Jim Bob 12 cents more than he paid me. Boy, if you don't sit your dumb self down, but nobody ever challenges them, then nobody's ever asked, and they'll just go along with it and nod their head. And lo and behold, you done made hashtags and you got holidays built about Wise is a terrible person, but nobody's ever asked, what do you mean? So I always encourage people, you don't have to know the answers, just ask the questions.
Right. Excellent.
All right.
I
That's
would
it.
agree with that, man. But I appreciate you guys pulling up this
For sure,
morning. We'll definitely try to get you guys on the channel later this week if you guys have some time. I definitely appreciate it.
Absolutely.
You know, hey, go check out my guy Jason over at Dear Woke Christian. He's doing great work over there. The video and Tanya, Epiphany Tanya sent it over to me. Lord have mercy. She is a mess and a half, dude.
A whole mess. Yo.
I'm gonna have to send it to you, Denzel. I'm gonna have to send it to you, Denzel,
Please.
just so you can see it for yourself.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We're going to make sure y'all
It's a
see
mess
that
and a
one for
half.
sure.
But I'm gonna leave Denzel, if you want to let them know your Substack or anything else, and I'll put that in the chat or in the description box just so they can find you out there on Substack.
Oh yeah, my Substack is Denzel Monk Senior. You can catch me there, or you can just hit me at afjm.net is my website. I'll have a link there for that also.
Spell your name, Denzel, in the chat, because I didn't have it spelled right initially. I was like, oh, I was spelling it wrong.
Danzil.
Yeah, I was not.
That's no problem. They give me all kind of names. That's no problem. I'm not funny about my name. Yeah.
All right, fellas, man. Y'all take care, man. I'll be in touch with you guys a little later today or later this week. Appreciate you guys pulling up this morning, man. God bless you both.
You got it. Grace and peace, everybody. Take care.
Grace and peace.
All right. Appreciate you guys pulling up this morning, man. Shout out to those who supported the channel, those who stayed on for the entire 2 hours and 7 minutes, man. Shout out to Zephyr K9. Just announced that we got 600 likes on the video today. That is freaking phenomenal. Thank you guys very much, man. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I really, really appreciate the support. Appreciate the love. Appreciate those that support the channel financially today. That definitely means a lot, man. I really, really appreciate you guys as well. Shout out to the Blues, Coaster B, Zephyr K9. I know I got a chance to see T.A. Kasky pull up for a brief second. Shout out to you guys for keeping things civil in the chat. We'll catch up with you guys tomorrow. I think tomorrow's show is going to be earlier than normal because I got some things I got to do a little later in the morning. So I think we're going to be a little earlier than normal. I think tomorrow's show, we're going to start at 9 a.m. opposed to 9:30. I'll keep you guys posted on that, and I'll get that sent up and uploaded, pretty quickly. But I do appreciate you guys, man. Keep God first. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you all next time. Peace.
Vibes so raw, can't hide the truth. Words so sharp, they cut right through. Real talk for the soul's appeal. Prayers rise up the